Good afternoon, Mirabolante Andy here. So today I am just going to do a quick tutorial on how to make a website. So this is not going to go as advanced as how to make a shop, which we can do, but it would have to be via PayPal, unless you're willing to buy a server, rent a server. Unless you've got a server, then we've got to go through setting it up, all this nonsense. We can also we also can't take a look at doing forms, because again that needs a server, because we need the server to submit the form. Sadly we can't do that unless you've got a server. If you do have a server, let me know and I can again go through making the tutorials for that, because I have a server. Sadly I can't let you guys go on the server because it's my work server, so they might have something to say about that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start off, sorry, I just did it on a PC. We're going to start off by looking at how to create the standard web page, just the front end of it, so you can see it and view it and click on buttons. It's that amazing. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to start creating some folders. So make a test website folder, then go ahead and make a folder in that called CSS. Then go ahead and make another folder called images. Image will be for your images, CSS will be for your CSS, and your CSS is your cascade style sheet, which is your style. And then you want to make in the CSS folder a file called style.css. That means we can style the website to make it colourful and all this stuff. Then just outside those folders, you want to make one called index.html. This will allow you to make the website, and when you load up, it'll go to that HTML, that index.html, and pick up the CSS and the image if you link them in, which we're going to do. So now we want to go ahead and create the doc type. We can do this by referring to it at the top. Obviously it says it's .html, but we need to tell the browser that. So we can do it in a few ways. We can have it all capitalized, we can have it one capitalized, one not, but I highly recommend none capitalized, because that's what every other bit of code is going to be like in this now. So now we want to go ahead and create another HTML tag to open. This will open up the page to say that HTML has now started. Then inside that, we want to create a head tag. Here I've wrote header. You'll see me go back and correct it in a minute when it hits me and I realise I've done that wrong. But for now we want to call it head, so H-E-A-D. Sorry, I'm losing my words. In that we want to create a meta char set, which I've just realised is spelt wrong, and I've not wrote char set, I've wrote car set for some reason. So I'm going to have to change that in my code. And you want to set that as UTF-8, which basically allows all browsers to read the content of the HTML. Then we want to go ahead and set the HTTP equiv, which basically is a meta tag, which basically it makes the HTTP headers to be processed in the document correctly. None of you won't know what that means. I barely know what it means, to be honest. I just know what I've got to write. Now we want to go ahead and create the title. This will be, for example, when you open a new tab up and then you go on YouTube, you'll see in the tab right at the top it'll say YouTube hyphen something about YouTube. I don't even know. So right now I'm just thinking about what to write, and then I decide I'm going to write homepage. I think it's called a rail sign. Not actually sure. And then Andrew's how to make a website build or something like that. I can't really remember now. So now we've settled on what we're going to call it. We want to go ahead and do a meta name description. So a meta name description is something that Google uses to pick up descriptions about your website. That was fairly obvious. For example, YouTube, you would write bringing videos closer to the public, allowing uploads, users with their own profiles, can do what they like. I don't even know. I'm just blabbling on right now. Just something along those lines. Because I'm making a how to build a website, I just kind of just do a dummy description for now, but I'll go ahead and change that a bit later. So for example, YouTube will want to come up as a video player, or I don't know what else. Facebook would want to come up as a social networking site. If you googled social networking site, it's that type of thing. Once we've decided what keywords we're going to want to use, you want to link the style sheet. This will allow us to then go into the style.css and make, for example, the page color black. I don't recommend doing that. That's why I've just said it, so I can rant about it. So yeah, I don't recommend you make the page header black. The page background black. Sorry, what am I on about? Then once we've linked that style CSS, we will want to add a line of code, which is supplied by me in the comments. In the description. That's the one. That would be I can't speak. Applied in the description. If you just want to copy and paste that out and stick that underneath this, I'll also leave that website link there just in case you want that for further use. Then we want to close the head. Yeah, and then I realised that I've called it head, not head. No, then I realised I called it head, not head. So that closing head means that we've now closed the head, so it no longer runs, so nothing else will come out of it. Right now I just put in a quick closing body and closing HTML tag just in case I forget, because I forget a lot of things. So now we have the body of the page. The body of the page is going to be the content that actually starts to display on the web page. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to create a header, which, if you've ever used Microsoft Word, you'll know what it is, where you can put a header at the top of the page. For example, your address, not your address, maybe your address, your phone number, the page number, something like that. Then we're going to want to create a div. Well, no we're not, scrap that. You'll see me scrap it in a second. I start to create the div and then I realise that's a bad idea. So I create a footer underneath that, so we've got a header and a footer around the main content. This is how a website usually works. Some websites are retarded and don't do this because they're retarded. So actually, in the header, we're going to go ahead and we're going to create a H1, which is the first title, a heading 1 of the page. Then we're going to want to create an A. An A is an anchor, which is also a link, it's known as. This will basically mean, so when we click on, for example, the button home, obviously this isn't going to be the button home. When you click on home, it goes back. That's what the / is. The / means root directory. That will take you back to the index.html page, which we're already on, so that's why it's just slash. Span is just something that we're going to use to name the website. This would not actually been shown. We will hide the span in CSS and make it so it shows an image or your logo. Then underneath that we're going to want to create a nav. A nav is basically the navigation. So yeah, that's fairly obvious. A UL means an unordered list. If we had OL, it'd mean ordered list, which means it would display as 1, 2, 3, 4 at the front. Then we want the list items. So there's 4 that I'm going to choose to do. So we want to write li, which would be the list item. We want to open the li tag. Sorry. Then we want to open a link tag again, so we can link the page. So when you click on, for example, About Us, it will go to About You. Then you want to close the A tag to say you want to stop the link after that part, and then you want to close the li tag to say that you want to close that list item so you can start another one. Then once we've added all the list items, we want to close the UL to say that we're done with the list. Then we want to close the nav to say that we're done with the navigation setup. Then we want to close the header to say we're done with the header. This will all be displayed at the top of the page, so we will have the logo or the website name, although I highly suggest we have a logo, on the left hand side. Then we're going to have the nav on the right hand side. Or you could have the nav underneath the logo, and we could have something else up where the nav is, but for the purpose of this, I'm going to make the nav go up to the top right. Then I realized my mistake for the div content container, so I decided to change it to a article instead. An article is going to be where the main content is displayed, the main information you would like. So once we have this article tag, we're going to create a side tag as well, and a side tag is what goes on the sidebar. So for example, you might have information about us in the article tag, and then on the right you might have a phone number or a donate to us or a buy now or something like that in the aside. So at the moment I've just used a H3 tag instead of a H2. So this is how we prioritize headings. Heading 1 will always be the header, possibly heading 2 as well. Article will always be heading 2 if you're using a heading 1 in the header, or a heading 3. For the purpose of this, I use heading 3 because it's I like to keep a gap in between the headings. So I will use heading 1 in the header, heading 3, 4 in the article, heading 5, 6 in the aside. Then I have gone ahead and I've created a P tag. A P tag stands for a paragraph. So we have one paragraph, then I close the P tag to say start a new paragraph because I open another P tag up. This is the closing of the tags. In the aside, I create 3 sections because I want 3 different blocks. Let's say blocks. I label the headings of the page with a H5, so it's easier for Google to pick up what you're asking it for when you do it this way. So it will read your article and it will go, okay, that's the main content. We'll ignore the useless content for now, and we'll pick up the main content, and it'll rank you higher based on all this. This is how Google's massive algorithm works. It's very good. So now we've created the sections. I chose to use a heading, a paragraph, which I've just realized I didn't close the paragraph tags. If you spotted that, congratulations, you've just won a cookie. Send me your email address and we'll talk. So now we want to start editing the footer. Like we did the header, this is going to be slightly different though. This is going to be just 2 columns in the bottom, so it'll be 2 half-width columns. We'll style them in CSS eventually, but for now they're just going to be called div class col. Class, I'll quickly explain. An ID, which I used for div ID content container. An ID is when you want to style just an individual item. A class is when you want the same item, when you want the item to be styled the same as another one that's called class as well. So for example, we could have 5 columns called class col, and in CSS we can make it so each one is a fifth of the page, for example. In the first column I just make a paragraph. This will display on the left hand side of the website in the footer, so right at the bottom of the page. And then we have a second div class col with an image in, which will maybe display for example, it could be a map instead of an image, or it could be a buy now button or something like that, just something at the bottom right of the page. So now we have the setup of the page. This should work. If we went ahead and drag and dropped it into a browser, you'll notice that it will actually display. It will come up, and that's your web page. That's it there. That's the beauty of it. That's just incredible. I try to search for an image just so we can put an image in, but I find a guy licking ice cream and I was kind of disturbed. That's why I typed that's weird. But once I found a picture, I just typed in a funny picture, got the baby. Thought that was pretty good. So now we have the picture in the website as well, because I saved it. As you can see, I'll save it as the exact name of what I've called it in the text editor. Sublime text editor is what I'm using. I'll leave a link for it in the description. You can use Notepad if you prefer, but I like this because it colorizes stuff. So I save it and then refresh the page and it picks it up. I've saved the erm.jpg in the image directory, so it picks it up. Now we have the pages linked at the top. They don't actually go anywhere because we haven't created the other pages, so we're just kind of using it as a placeholder text for the moment. All of this is placeholder text, we will fill this in. This is just to create the website, then we can look at styling it and then filling it with your content. So this is the basic step 1 of how to build a website. This is your HTML page. Next time, I'm not sure when, it should be in a couple of days, maybe next weekend. At the latest, we will have another page, what am I on about? Another video up on how to create your website. So yeah, thank you for watching and have a good night, and I'll see you next week, or next time. Oh my god.